Well, hi, you beautiful New Zealanders. In today's video, I'm talking about how we are all being heavily groomed by Maori activists. So what's in the video today? In this video, I discuss the recent controversy about Maori words being taken out of early childhood reading books. You would have heard about this. Number two, I explain what is really going on here and what we all need to be aware of. And number three, first up, let's watch the interview between Michael Laws and Elizabeth Rata. This is worth watching. Okay, so watch.
Amongst all the madness this week of various issues, there was a concoction of a sort of controversy, which would suggest, run by Radio New Zealand News, which all emanates around a particular book. I know it's weird, but there you go. And that book is called At the Marai, which is one of those early readers books that kids are given in their early years in school, sort of 0 to 3, 0 to 4, probably 0 to 2 actually, looking at it, at which you learn to read, basically. You remember Jack and Jill and all those sorts of things that my older generation did. Well, you get the simple words in your memory, and it's about, learning to read, basically. Well, one of those books was a book called At the Marai, and for some strange and ungodly reason, it has become a cause celeb and proof positive, according to Radio New Zealand, a large number of education commentators and academics of the government's anti-Maori agenda. In fact, as of yesterday, Radio New Zealand was reporting that Education Minister Erica Stanford has imposed a near total ban, quote unquote, on Maori and new additions to a series of books used to teach 5-year-olds to read. Oh, so it's year one then, okay. An Education Ministry report shows Stanford decided in October last year to exclude all Maori words except for characters' names from any new books in the Education Ministry's Ready to Read Phonics Plus series. And the paper showed the decision was driven by concern that Maori words were confusing for children learning to read English, although evidence of that was mixed, reports Radio New Zealand. The minister has defended her position. She said, in the end, I reached a middle position after taking conflicting advice on this particular issue. But essentially her argument was, well, if you're learning to read English, don't confuse me. Just read English. And this particular book at the Marai, was a sort of combination of English and Maori words. So instead of using that as a future primer, they're going to do it as a big picture book or something so that the teacher can read it and introduce it if they wish to anyhow. But I know, it's sort of cause celeb gone throughout the education environment. Proof positive in terms of media coverage of this, that the government has an anti-Maori agenda. To discuss that and how kids learn, and is this all just, well, frankly, a storm in a teacup, gosh, not even a teacup, a thimble, we are joined by Professor of Education, Professor Elizabeth Rata, and she joins us now. Professor Rata, Elizabeth, great to have you on again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, morning, Michael.
You heard my introduction. You know all about literacy. I don't. All I know is that as a parent and as a recipient of those books, I learned, I guess, have they changed much over the generation from when I went to school to today?
Yes, there was a huge change from the 90s, but what I'd actually like to do, Michael, is go to the nub of the issue, which is when 4 or 5-year-olds learn to read, what they do is they put the sound together with the letter. Now, can I give you the most brilliant example from some time ago? I'm not going to give you the date till I've read just a very short extract about P and B, P and B. Can I do that?
Go for your life.
It will give a great example. Okay, it's from a book written by a teacher of infant classes who has written the book for other teachers. And what she wants to teach the sounds P and B and corresponding to the letters. And it's within what she calls, she's using the nature method, and the lesson is all about onions. But anyway, let me get to the main point, which is the correspondence of the sound to the letter. Okay, so I'll read from the book. Teachers produce a pair of bellows and says, how do the bellows take in air? We will breathe through our noses. 2, hands on ribs, mouths closed, ready, in, out. The children stand firmly on both feet and do this exercise several times while a boy works the bellows in front of the class. The lesson turns to sounding the letters P and B. B is bulb. The theme of the lesson is onion bulbs. So B is bulb compared to P in pipe. Children tell how the lips move harder for B than for P. They put fingers to throat and tell that B is started there. Teacher corrects any tacking on of a vowel sound to P or B. Now, that lesson was from, wait for it, 1911. And this is how children were taught to read, which is why we had many generations of New Zealand children, most of whom could read 5, 6 years old. And this was the phonics method used. So it's about the integrity of the correspondence between the sound and the letter. And Minister Stanford is absolutely right in what she's doing. For very young children learning to read, they don't want to be confused by the fact that, you know, A or P or whatever sound could it could relate to a number of different letters. So if you're being taught to read in English, then stick to the sound letter correspondence. If you're being taught to read in Maori, do exactly the same thing. Maori sounds and corresponding to the letters. So it is a storm in a teacup. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so as I understand what you're saying is it's not the words actually so much as the sounding of the words and how they're put together. You're teaching at year 1 and year 2.
Yeah, it's the correspondence.
The Maori
sound.
And Maori has a different sound or a different way of expressing a particular word or a consonant, if you like, than English, and you could confuse the kids if you put the two together. Is that right?
That's right. It's really difficult to learn to read. When you think about it, a child has to understand that a sound actually corresponds. That squiggle on the page is the sound, is the symbol of the sound. Now, it's really hard for children. So let's make it as clear as possible for them and say, here's the sound and here's the letter that corresponds to the sound. And as this teacher in 1911 did, she made it very clear that the B sound corresponds to the B in the word bulb, and she has a whole lot of onion bulbs to demonstrate to the children. But she's also getting them to know, to understand that sounds come from our breathing, from our lungs, and that we can control the way we produce sounds. So it was a lesson in speech training, actually.
Okay. Having said that, there is a great deal of pushback from also educators and those involved in the learning or in the the literacy area. The head of the Maori Principals Association describes removing these texts at this point in time for the year 1, year 2, as our members see this move as an act of white supremacy. It's an act of racism. Then you've got Better Start, founder Gail Gillan, who also Better Start Literacy Approach, said discontinuing the reader version of At the Marai was a very odd decision. Professor Gillan, she's a professor of English as well, I see, although I'm not quite sure at which university. And then you've got the book's author, University of Canterbury Senior Lecturer in Maori Education, Jen Smith, saying she was incredibly sad and disappointed because she wanted to see Maori children to see their culture reflected in their readers. Te reo Maori was absent from my own literacy learning. You're saying they've got the wrong end of the stick, basically.
Yes, I find it really difficult to understand what your argument really is, because it's the minister is not removing Maori words from children's education. She's just saying, when you're at this very beginning stage of learning to read, then it's important that the sound letter correspondence is established in the child's mind. Now, that's very reasonable. I support it completely. And then, of course, in subsequent years, then there are a number of Maori words that have moved organically into English. As we know, English borrows from so many languages, and children will encounter that. They will also, perhaps if they are in bilingual classes, learn to read in Maori as well. But we've got to respect the integrity of languages. If you just start throwing a whole lot of words from one language into another language and it's done really quickly, following the Mahi Karuna policy document of the previous Labour coalition, which was put in place from the beginning of 2019, where government departments and the education system was instructed to include as much Maori language as possible in the public service and in education. What we saw was many, many Maori words being thrown into English. Now, if you're committed to the revival of the Maori language, that's not the way to do it. What you do is you ensure that you teach Maori as a language in its own right, with its own grammar, its own vocabulary. The conversation will be all in Maori. You just don't throw a whole lot of Maori words into another language and say, this will revive the Maori language. But that's another issue. But the one we're talking about is, how do children learn to read? Well, they begin to learn to read by connecting the sound to the letter. So let's make that as clear as possible.
Okay, so there you have it. That's Elizabeth Rada and Michael Laws. Wasn't that great? So, thank God for Elizabeth and Michael Laws. They're fantastic. At one point in the interview, Elizabeth says something like, you know what, I don't understand what all the controversy is all about, or it's a storm in a teacup, something like that, she says. In other words, this is Maori and a host of white woke people who have joined in the Maori religion, that's what I call them, on the attack for a seemingly trivial thing. So what's it all about? It's just a strategy that activists, both brown and white, have employed for a very long time to groom the rest of us to not stop anything Maori or say anything against Maori. That's what it's really all about, this. So what's happening here is we're all being conditioned to think Maori language is sacred and untouchable. Maori people are sacred and untouchable. Maori culture is sacred and untouchable, do you see? So if you say anything negative about these three things, well, you're going to be attacked. You're going to be full on attacked. So here's a cartoon that somebody's done about a Maori strategy meeting, and you can read that for yourself, but they say, how can we be in full control of New Zealand by 2040? And the other guy says, well, it's simple. Just pile in on anyone who says anything negative about Maori. This is how we'll knock out all opposition to our 2040 goal. That cartoon is fantastically accurate about what's really going on with this little Maori words in the reading book incident. So people don't like being attacked, so they avoid like the plague. Saying or doing anything might be perceived as some kind of criticism of Maori. See how it works? You'll be called a racist or a white supremacist or a Maori basher and so on. So what's the result of all this? Well, the answer is the population of New Zealand learn not to say anything remotely negative about Maori so that activists can march on unopposed towards their 2040 goal. Now, on the pictures that you can see on the screen there's Hei Puapua, a book that's been written about Hei Puapua by Dr. John Robinson. You can get that from Tross Publishing. There's the actual Hei Puapua document, and then the picture at the top is a website called MATIKE, My Aotearoa. Just go through that and you'll see what I'm talking about. So this is not a conspiracy theory. It's an observable strategy employed by activists to shut down opposition. That Maori have clearly stated that they want to be in full control of New Zealand by 2040 is detailed in the documents Hei Pūpua and Maitiki Mai. There they are, for all to see. Once you latch on to what's happening here, you'll see it everywhere. We're all being heavily groomed all the time. It's not just groomed, we're being heavily groomed. The grooming is constant and relentless. So I wrote a book about this, and in my book, The Psychology of Takeover, 18 strategies Maori activists are using to take over the country. There's a picture of it on the right-hand side there. This strategy of attacking opponents is just one of 18 strategies. You're just getting one of the 18. Imagine if you get all 18 going. See, the 17 more strategies they're using to dull down opponents to their goal of getting to 2040 and being in total control. So you can get a copy of this booklet for a donation plus courier if you email cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. We'll give you as many as you like so you can get them out to your friends and family just for a donation and the cost of the courier to get them to you. So what's the antidote? Well, the antidote is to let criticism run off your back like water off a duck's back. They don't like that. If you just ignore them and laugh it off. Just ignore the criticism and carry on, laughing if possible. That's the way to deal with this. So here's a cartoon with Dr. Elizabeth Rada and Michael Laws. Join the dots. Michael Laws says, I can't believe I missed the connection to 2040. Elizabeth says, me too. What both Michael and Dr. Rada both missed is the connection between this event and 2040. In actual fact, this is the most crucial aspect of this entire story. This is not a criticism of Michael or Elizabeth. These two are national treasures. I love them both. They're unbelievable. We can't do without them. So what's the lesson? Even our best and brightest can miss things. Isn't that true? So, 2040. What's the lesson? Always connect any news or item or report that has to do with Maori with 2040. Ask, how does this relate to their goal to have full control of the country by 2040? That's the key to understanding what's really happening in New Zealand with Maori. Okay, thanks for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe to this channel. Get this video out to everybody everywhere so they understand what the heck is happening in our country. See you next time. Okay, just before we go, I need to let you know about a need that we have, and we want you to help if possible. We want to develop a new website. It's hugely exciting what we're about to do. So we need a website developer who can do what we are wanting to do. So I realize a lot of websites can now be built with AI, and I want to discuss that with a website developer to see if that can be done. So as I say, I want to discuss what we have in mind with a website developer. So if you're a website developer or you know one, then please contact me. You know what? Because we found that that 99% of the website developers in New Zealand are woke, and they will not develop any websites for us because of what we're doing and trying to alert New Zealand to what is happening to our country. And they're already 99% of them are just 100, on board 100% with the Maori takeover, and they've been brainwashed because they're young people who've got these jobs. So there you go. There's a great big need that we have. So if you can, if you're a web developer or you know one, then please contact me, Julian at stopcogov.kiwi. That could be a real great help. Thanks a lot, you guys. Okay, guys, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Now we need your help with something. This is important. We have produced some great flyers and brochures which we want to get into the hands of all New Zealanders. So we need to go around the mainstream media. They're not going to help. In fact, they're making things a lot worse. So we have to go around them. And we need your help to make this happen. We can't do this without you. So what are we talking about? First, there is our business cards. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Then there is our latest booklet called The Psychology of Takeover, 19 strategies Maori activists are using to take over the country. It's 80 pages and packs a huge punch. So they're cheap, they're $3, and they're absolutely fantastic if you want to get a handle on what's actually happening in New Zealand. Then we have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour in 2023. Remember these? You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these. Well, these are now free because we realized that only about 1/3 of New Zealand houses got this booklet last when I did my tour, and so we want to get to the other 2/3. So if you do a few streets around where you live, that would be absolutely phenomenal, and they are free now. Then we have our Manga, that's Marine and Coastal Act brochure 2, which alert people to the loss of our beaches. You know, we're in danger of losing all the beaches around New Zealand. The text text is written by Graham Adams, who's a great author. These are now free. And then we have our beautiful bumper sticker, which we've just made. And why are we doing this? Well, New Zealand's identity is under threat. We know that. First activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We don't want that. We must oppose this. This is rubbish. Where's the referendum saying that we want to change the name of the country? There was none. It was just forced on us. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more all over the place, and they're just treason. So we've got to get these bumper stickers out. So we've printed some awesome bumper stickers. They're $3 each, and they measure 21.5 by 6.5, so you can see how big that would be on your car. To get any of these free products, all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. For the products that cost something, like the bumper stickers, or the little psychology booklet, it's the cost plus the courier to get them to you. So to order any of these products, just use this email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi, and we'd love to hear from you. Finally, if you want to access all the videos we've ever made, including all our most viewed and most popular videos, and have them all in one place, which is what people are asking for, then just type in this address into your browser. There it is there, https www.youtube.com/@stopcogovernance, and you'll find it goes straight to our channel. Then what you do is save this address to your computer as a favorite. Job done. Well done. Then you've got them all in one place forever, and all the new ones that are coming in get placed into that address, so you won't miss anything. Okay, last thing, please, oh please, don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the latest videos straight into your inbox. You'll never miss a video, which is great. You'll link up with like-minded people all over New Zealand, and that's very, very stimulating to have meet up with all these people who think like you. You'll be telling YouTube, I like these videos, and they will respond by advertising our videos to more Kiwis for free. It's incredible what they do, but it just relies on you replying to comments and making comments and liking things and sharing things and activity. That's what it is. It's just activity on our channel. And turning New Zealand around is simply a matter of reaching more Kiwis with the truth. So just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of your screen. The little yellow arrow is showing you where it is, and you'll be subscribed. Okay, see you next time. You guys are awesome.